All right, gentlemen.
All right,
do
ladies and
this.
gentlemen, welcome to the development pipeline panel for Camp Capstone. We are joined today by our host, Mr. Brandon Nall of the Brawling Brothers. Wait, I got to get that. The Brawling Brothers Board Gaming Podcast. There you go.
Wow, look at that intro. That's one that I deserve. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
No worries.
Like Chris mentioned, I'm Brandon Nall, the host of Brawling Brothers, the board gaming podcast. I'm here today to chat with Clay Ross, the owner of Capstone Games, Tim and Ryan, the development crew for Curious Cargo. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you all?
Great. Thanks for having us on.
Hey, man.
All right, I'm excited. We've had a day full of Curious Cargo We've had a day full of Curious Cargo so far. You actually just watched Jordan and Josh from the Brawling Brothers play it live. Not very well, I must say, but they did their best to play this brain burny 2-player game that you guys are putting out. We're gonna get to that here soon. But first, let's start with some introductions. Clay, let's start with you.
Hey, yeah. So I'm Clay Ross, the founder of Capstone Games, and we brought Pipeline and now Curious Cargo to the market, and excited to talk to Ryan and Tim and you as well, Brandon.
Excellent. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Clay. Ryan, of course, is the designer of Pipeline, and he is also credited here with Curious Cargo. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so like you said.
Excellent. And Tim is part of your team, is that right? You're one of the developers on Curious Cargoes.
Yes. I guess I'm riding Ryan's coattails.
Okay, all right. I don't know about that. I mean, Ryan might disagree with that, but you know, you're definitely been part of an exciting product that a lot of board gamers are really going to love. Let's talk a little bit about where you guys actually came from. How did you guys get into board games and decide to actually start creating games?
Who wants to start here? Do you want to start or do you want me to start, Tim?
I'll have you start.
All right, so I started designing board games because it was homework. So I was assigned playing board games as part of a class I was taking at Columbia University. And yeah, before that, I really had not played. I mean, I played like your typical classic board games and then things like Scrabble and stuff like that, but I never really had played hobby board games before that. And then I was taking a course and they said I needed to play these games. And so I went down and I would play the games in their library there. And then after that, I had to make some tabletop games through that class. And then that was sort of where it started.
So let me get this straight. You had a college class about board games. This is the university I need to be attending. We're not doing it right here in Albuquerque, clearly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Our homework was to go down.
And how did Tim come into this equation? How did you meet up with Tim?
So I met with Tim online. I actually never met with him in person until probably 2 years after we started working together, year and a half after we started working together.
It was a year and a half ago. So yeah, almost 2 years ago.
So about that long. We met through Joe Wiggins. So Joe Wiggins was pretty excited about Pipeline during its development, and he helped sort of hype it up, and he found a whole bunch of people online who wanted to be involved, and for whatever reason, Tim decided to stick around and do it more than once, and so that's how this happened.
You're dragging him through it again. All right, Tim. So a lot of people don't know, what is a game developer?
Oh, well, in my situation, a game developer is patience, putting up with Ryan's crazy ideas. We played 250 games of Pipeline. At least 200 of those were before anything. We're the old version of it that a lot of people know something about. And then we made it more like the current version. We probably still played it, maybe 100 times or 50 times or something. Right. But it was a lot of
plays go into that, right?
A lot of feedback to Ryan. Yeah, there was a lot of playing, a lot of feedback, a lot of ideas. yeah, I guess I would say it was because we were more of, well, Ryan was the designer, and so he
Okay.
was kind of the lead developer in that situation, mostly because he had actually been doing it before he ever even heard my name. And then as we started doing it, I literally played it with him online on Vassal, boy, 2016, late 20, a long time ago. Okay. And when it was done, I told him, message me anytime and I will play this. Anytime and I will play it forever. And I think that's one power. That's the thing that I like. I will happily play the same game over and over and over again. And a lot of people in my group do not want to do that. They will take the full time to set up a game, teach a game, play it, and then put it all away and then play a different game where they redo that all over again. I'm like, why don't we just play the same game? Okay. We all know how to play now. And maybe we'll actually get better at it.
Listen, as a podcaster, we never get to play the same game more than a handful of times. So I really envy that. I'm not sure I could take 250 plays of the same game, but I definitely respect that you have that in you and you actually can do that. That's absolutely outstanding. And that's why Pipeline and Curious Cargo are so well developed and they are such a great game, is you actually have taken the time to make sure that everything is worked out.
Oh, yes. There was been a lot of
We
play.
try. Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys did a great job. Let's flash back a little bit. Let's go back to that BGG Con of 2016. Now, this was a great convention for me. I actually spent the entire convention hanging out with Clay and his lovely wife Ashley. We played a lot of great games that convention. It was really fun. There's a great story. We actually took Clay and Ashley out to lunch one day, and we were messing with Ashley a little bit. We were teaching her about La Llorona, which is a kind of a wise tale here in the Southwest. And she had never heard of La Llorona. And that, of course, basically converts to the ditch witch. And I'm not going to tell the story here on the show, but we spent the whole lunchtime razzing Ashley Ross about La Llorona. And that was something that stuck out to me. Right as we got back from this lunch, we actually sent Clay off to play Pipeline for the very first time. We sit around and played a couple of games, and he came back to the table, and his head was melted. He was like, that was a big one, dude. I don't even know what to think about that. He was very, very excited about it. So that was the first exposure to Pipeline all the way back at BGG 2016. Clay, do you remember that? Was that play something that really opened your eyes? Did you instantly know that this was something that you needed to put in your catalog?
Yeah, so a couple months ago. Before that was Gen Con, and that's when Joe Wiggins was helping us out big time, and he met with Ryan to go over some of the basics, high level stuff. And when he came back, his eyes were just like, "This is awesome! You got to check it out. Like, you really got to check it out." So we met up at BGG Con, and I definitely remember sitting in the little corner of this room. Edward was there. I think Tommy Hong from Meeple Realty was there as well, I think. And we played it, and man, the prototype still, to me, I see the prototype when I pull out the real printed version of the game. I can still see the prototype. But yeah, that was an awesome time. Plus, anytime we get to hang out, Brandon, that's always a good time. So
it was a great convention, man. We played some games that year. It was really outstanding. But most importantly, it led to the first product that you fully developed and released as Capstone Games.
Right. Yeah, that was a huge undertaking for what Capstone was capable of, because it's just me essentially at that time. And I mean, with games that we import from or just localize from Europe or wherever, it's all that work has been done, and it's just a matter of converting the language to English, and then that's pretty much it, because all the other development stuff has been done. And now here we have a product that it looks like it's on paper, and we have to make it look like an actual product that we can sell and have people play. And that was very challenging, and a lot of lessons learned, and a lot of, I mean, this satisfaction of doing that was amazing, and it's definitely gotten me the personal itch to do more of these games like that, just to see what other creative avenues we can discover as we do that.
Well, it definitely stood out. Pipeline, of course, had massive success. It actually landed firmly on Josh's best games list of all time. He plays that
Yeah.
thing all the time. So it really was a big hit for you guys. I want to hear a little bit about how you went from Pipeline into Curious Cargo. Was there a moment where you thought this puzzle is really cool and we need to do something else with it? How did that happen, Ryan?
So Pipeline was actually developed or designed, not developed, designed at the same time as both Curious Cargo and a third uh, game that I have using those pipe tiles. So there's three of them. Originally, Pipeline was designed to be a medium weight game, and I have a light to medium weight game. Pipeline turned out to not be medium by the time it came out. Curious Cargo, which I thought was light, probably is moving into light, medium, or medium. And then I'm hoping the third one still stayed light. We'll find out. I'm not very good at keeping games at the weight that originally designed them for. But yeah, so they were all three designed at the same time. Pipeline was more about trying to make an economic simulator. Curious Cargo was much more about how can I use the pipe puzzle and make that more of a focus of the game itself.
So I'm interested about this third game. Am I allowed to dive into that at all? I mean, is there any news on this other game?
I don't know what. I don't think right now there is any news. Nothing official to be said about that right now.
All right, I'm gonna keep trying on that one, Ryan. Okay.
I'll give a little bit. So I'll say it's a 1 to 8 player simultaneous playing tile laying game.
All right, there you go. He's teasing you right now. All you Pipeline fans out there that need something a little bit lighter, he's teasing you. Okay, so Curious Cargo it was designed at the same time as Pipeline. Did you know then, Clay, after you saw Pipeline and you played Curious Cargo for the first time, did you know instantly this is something you had to bring to Capstone?
Yeah, the two games. I think we even played in a very rough stage at that same BGG con. Ashley and I played with Ryan on that 2-player what is now Curious Cargo. It's a lot. A lot's been changed, but it was a solid experience. And it, like what Ryan said, it's more about how this pipeline system that he created, how the player can interact with that and use that as the main focal point of the game. And what's evolved into now Curious Cargo through Tim's development as well has become this completely separate game than Pipeline, but it's still the one link is that pipe system where you're laying these tiles together. But that's again the main focal point of this game, as we just saw. But yeah, that one I'm really excited for the retail release of this one.
So I want to know, Tim, what was the process like developing Curious Cargo compared to developing Pipeline?
Well, I actually did play the very early Curious Cargo right around the time I also played the first time I played Pipeline. It was kind of showing at least those two off. I don't think you had the third version on Vassal at any point. Or at least if you did, you never showed it to me. I have played it now, or at least an earlier version. It's been a while. Let's see, the difference between the two is Pipeline had some of the roots of what is going on now back in the day, but boy, it had some pretty good differences too. It was both, I would say, weirdly significantly heavier, but also a significantly higher scoring game. If you didn't score $3,000, you were dead last. Okay, you were terrible. But also, you might very well score negative 3,000 or something. I don't know that bad, but it was pretty. Yeah. Well, don't worry. That story's going to happen, Clay. Okay. The Curious Cargo back in the day, it had the same truck things, but the structure of turns was pretty different. You only draw like one tile and play one tile, and then you had a truck phase, and it was very different. And we didn't actually even start true development until Ryan had changed it pretty heavy duty. It was similar to now. I think you had the actions, 3 actions, and the truck phase, 3 actions. There's been a lot of changes since that time when we first started doing those development things. But yeah, the old version was real different. But Pipeline still had pipes. It still had the cross that's in Pipeline. That has always been there, at least since I've known it. Yeah. Ryan did show me some earlier stuff that was like, I don't know, from like the first week or something, where those things were different.
Right.
So do you guys have a favorite piece of Pipeline? Like Clay, if I ask you what's your favorite part of Pipeline, what's the answer to that one?
The upgrades. I love any time that you get a special unique ability that you can take advantage of, kind of breaking the rules of the game per se, but it still doesn't lose that balance. It's especially with Pipeline, it's a tightrope that you're walking when you're picking these upgrades, because sometimes you might think this upgrade is really super awesome, but then when you end up getting it, you're like, I don't know why I got this. Like it's not really shaping out for my strategy. But yeah, I like the upgrades.
What about you, Ryan? I mean, you're the one that really matters. You built this beast. What's your favorite part of Pipeline?
That plays in 45 minutes for Tim and I, at least. So we would be cranking out. This is how we got to so many, through so many games. Is we would crank out 2 or 3 games in about 2 hours, and then I would make some ridiculous changes, and so Tim was super patient with that. So if we were unable to play the game in 45 minutes, we would have never been able to polish it, right? I mean, we needed.
Well, as you guys saw from our Curious Cargo's play, do not play with us if you want a quick game, because that never ever happens. Tim, your last up, favorite part of Pipeline?
Boy, I would actually say my favorite part of Pipeline is the requirements and how very different every game will play based on just the simple, even just swapping 2 of those will make a game play so very differently than any previous plays, which is why when people ask us, what's a typical score in Pipeline, we're like, there's no answer to that question. Because every game is different.
Sure.
Yeah, you can win with $600. You can win with $1,600, and they both will be completely viable based on the setup.
Right. We had some good games
go ahead.
Where our scores were around 300 something, because we had some games.
Yeah, we had some
like the 7s and 6s loaded up front.
Yeah,
so,
and if you're us, there's a lot more getting in the other people's way than there is for people who haven't played it, quite as often as us. Although I don't think either one of us has played that game in a long time because we're busy doing other stuff.
Right. We have to work.
That's a good sign. We love the sound of that.
When the expansion stuff, we're going to have to go back to playing it, and we're going to be real rusty and look real terrible. Okay.
Oh man, I feel like I could ask some more questions here, like earlier, try to get some more info out of you guys, but we're not going to do that. We're focused on Curious Cargo. It was important to get Pipeline out there because really that felt like the springboard for Curious Cargo. Enter Curious Cargo, this beautifully created little game. We're going to touch on art very soon, of course, because the artist Kwanchai Moria is a friend of the show. He did some work on our logo and that sort of thing. So I'm excited to hear more about that. But Curious Cargo hits the table. It's a thinky, brain burny, rules light experience for 2 people. Now, you 30 to 45 minutes unless you play with us, and it takes 2 hours. But this is an interesting new product because this serves a very different market than Pipeline is going to serve. Clay, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the accessibility of Curious Cargo is way off the charts. I mean, we're talking a 2-player game. The rule book that Ryan really put a ton of effort in, just getting so many fresh eyes on it, people that have never played Curious Cargo anyway, in any form, and just getting the feedback from them, and just helped out with being able to read this short, succinct rule book. And we also have a turn structure that's pretty straightforward. You're going to be placing some tiles, then you call in some trucks, and then rinse and repeat until, obviously there's a lot more to it, as we saw in the live stream. But it's the artwork is super friendly, and yeah, it's all about just placing the tiles and trying to make those connections. So
Yeah, we've really loved exploring the different layers to it. It seems like it's going to be so simple, but there's so much strategy actually involved in it whenever you get down to it. You and I were actually talking on the phone earlier today before the live stream. We were talking about those truck cards and if you should trade them in for tiles to get a nice early lead in regards to tiles. And we talked back and forth about our experiences there. Jordan and I this morning, we played last night a couple of times. This morning we got up and we were talking about the different variations that you can have based on which direction you go with your pipes, whether you're trying to connect the top right machines to the left side of the board and fill up those 8, 9, 10 slots, or if you should try to wrap around the bottom left stuff and fill up the lower numbers. So there's a lot of strategy for how small the game really is. Ryan, do you feel like the strategy involved is anywhere near that's in Pipeline? Obviously, there's a lot of spatial relation required, but what do you think about this amount of strategy compared to the Big Brother game?
So I definitely think it's a more accessible game than Pipeline. I think it should likely hit a broader market, but I think it's also pretty thinky. I think we even put warnings in the rule book saying please don't flip the tiles over to the 3-color side because we had several people lose the game. Both players lost the game because they didn't manage to meet the the minimum requirements. So
Right.
yeah, I think for a game that's 30 minutes long, or well, theoretically 30 minutes long, that it's pretty thinky for that time space.
Yeah.
All right, Tim. Tell me more about the Pipeline expansions that are in development. No, I can't. We can't do that right now. Tell us about your involvement in the fine tuning of Curious Cargo. Was there anything that, whenever you started working on it, didn't exist, and what was the thought process involved in actually introducing whatever that was to the game?
Boy, I'm trying to remember. There's been a lot of things. I'm trying to remember anything that I specifically would say was more me than anything.
We can come back to it
remember.
if there's nothing you can think of.
I can't
It sounds
remember
like
anything
Ryan gave
specific.
you a perfect product right from the get-go, and you just get a byline?
I'm sorry, what now?
It sounds like maybe Ryan handed you a perfect product and you just got to play it with him a bunch.
A few things have changed. I mean, the splitters have the way you get a splitter, because if I remember, it was significantly easier to get a splitter when we first started doing development, and so a lot of the game was just doing your best to be the first to get a splitter and then use it. But I think we did get it to a point where even if you are the only person that gets a splitter, there's no guarantee you are going to win this game. You might have gotten a splitter because the other person is actively, there's even reasons to let the other person get all 4 of one of your goods if you can see that they haven't delivered enough stuff, because they trigger game end and then they can't have any win. And even if you only have 4 points, you win. And so stuff like that. Those are things that you don't really get to notice until you've played it a bunch of times.
One of the things that I think was the most challenging for us, and the rule that when I read in the rule book, I had to reread it a few times, you can't place like color goods next to one another on the shipping trucks. And that's really difficult to do that. I think that there's a big piece of strategy just involved in that. Was that something that was originally in the game, Ryan, or did you decide that through testing?
I think that was in there originally. I think especially because, like Tim had said, it was easier to get splitters in the beginning, and you could just make this fork shape with the splitters. And so that rule was in there to prevent just making forks on your shipping side and filling trucks that way. Mm-hmm.
Definitely one of the biggest challenges I've found. We're going to go back to you, Clay. I'm curious now. I want to move into the production side of it. I'm curious about how the pandemic has actually affected this process. Has it affected your launch date at all? Have you seen any delays? What has it actually done to the process of actually getting Curious Cargo to market?
Yeah, so we were originally slated for a Gen Con release of Curious Cargo. But yeah, there were some hiccups there getting it out, and fortunately, we have a really good factory partner for this title. And what we've decided to do, because no conventions are going on right now, um, and this is a game that you want to bring to the table and have families or just pretty much any gamer, because it's again so accessible, play the game and you can teach it to them in person. So we're doing it here throughout this Camp Capstone weekend, where people are being able to play the game for the first time, and having you guys do the live stream was really awesome, just so you could see the pieces in action. But yeah, so what we're doing is we are pushing this to a quarter 4 release. It's going to be we're going to have it drop at the end of October during Spiel Digital, and
Ooh, I like
in the
this.
yeah, so it'll be there for the holiday season, right in time. Plus, it allows us to get a little bit more localization partners. We're talking to 3 different. We're looking at having a German version, a Spanish version, Korean version, and I believe French as well. But those aren't set in stone yet. But it's definitely some serious talks. So hopefully that something comes of those. But yeah,
Wow,
I'm
that's
happy with
exciting.
where we're at. Yeah.
Outside, what does it feel like, Ryan, to know that Clay's trying to line up this game for all these other countries? I mean, you must feel like a proud dad, basically.
Yeah, it's a huge deal for me, right? So uh, I got lucky with Pipeline, no doubt, and then this game might actually come out through multiple publishers at once. I'm excited about that. That's crazy that I'm able to do that on my second design.
Pretty amazing, man. Congratulations to you. Clay, let's talk about art, because you know that I'm a huge fan of Mr. Kwanchai Moria. Ian O'Toole is doing all kinds of exciting stuff for you. What's going on, man? You are getting the best of the best here. And why did you decide to pick Kwanchai to do Curious Cargo?
Yeah, so Ryan and I were talking about this game, and we had a strategy crafted for how we wanted to present this game in the market. I mean, we really wanted to, again, the accessibility for Curious Cargo is like the key driver here in the decisions that we're making. And we wanted friendly, fun art. Not saying that there's other people that can't do that, but Ryan, I think you were the one who brought up, let's look into getting Kwanchai. Is that something that we could possibly do? And a couple phone calls here and there, and he was on board, and just he brought so much unique talent to the table. And as you can see with the presentation and the box cover, is just absolutely amazing. And I loved working with Kwanchai. We gave him kind of like an idea per se, just more of like a
Right.
here's what we're thinking. And we did go back and forth with Kwanchai, but we finally ended up with, okay, this is what we really want to do. What can you do with this? And it was just a rough draft of some like amoeba creature, and we're thinking some kind of electrical component. And
Wow.
he was like, I got it. I'll be back to you in like a week. And then boom, he dropped in these rough draft images of what he was kind of creating to life. And I was like, man, this guy is amazing to work with. So I was so fortunate that we were able to even work with Kwanchai. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I mean, he's such a great creative person in general. So yeah.
Pretty incredible talent. And I got to tell you, I mean, the cover image definitely elicits that family friendly feel. And I know that that's something that you guys are going for. You want to show the world that you can play a deep strategy heavy game. My dog is attacking my feet down here. A deep strategy heavy game that really will melt your brain, but anyone can do it. It's very accessible. And I love that you guys have actually done that. We got a question in chat that I think is actually great from Tabletop Bellhop. How important, if at all, is it that players have played Pipeline first before they dive into Curious Cargo, Clay?
Well, that's a great question. I think we've had that a few times, but you don't even need to play Pipeline at all. The only thing that is similar is the tiles, and how they're the permutations of the routes or pipes or whatever you want to call them on there. That's the only thing. I mean, there's no market in this game. It's a completely different entity. It just uses that same pipe tile system in both games.
Now, someone told us during our live stream, and I could be wrong here, but it sounds like the pre-order bonus for Curious Cargo actually got extended through the weekend. So if you pre-order the game right now, you actually get a special promo. Is that right?
Yeah, we went kind of above and beyond what what we usually do with pre-orders, and the components are really nice. I mean, we're using some premium stuff for component wise, but yeah. So you're going to get 4 player boards, 4 unique different layouts per player, and we also have this fun. Ryan created this bus promo to kind of pay homage to the Splotter title bus that we did last year, and this
Absolutely.
sucker is. Yeah, it's really cool because it's not just like another thing he just kind of threw in there. It's unique because it's a size 7, which means that's the biggest vehicle in the game. And what's also funny is when that thing comes into play, it takes up like 70% of your player board, but it also is blocked. Every single slot on there is completely blocked. It's just a big giant blocker that just comes in there. So it's a fun little. Uh, I guess homage to Bus. So yeah, but that's all free for pre-orders too. And what's great
Well,
is
it's a perfect segue here. We actually have someone in chat asking about the bus reprint, and they're professing love for Splotter. So the first thing I want to know is there more Splotter to Capstone stuff coming? You can tell us right now, live on the air.
so much pressure right now, man. I'm leaving.
I know.
I'm
I
just
know.
kidding.
Listen, if anyone
No,
can drop something, it's you, right? You're the guy
yeah.
that writes the checks over there.
We're talking. We're talking. That's what I'll leave it at. But they really, Yoris and Yarun really enjoyed what we did with Bus and how it looks, and we're talking about some other stuff, but we'll see what happens.
All right.
That's all
All
I got,
right.
man.
Yeah, well, I'm trying. Chats cheer me on over here. We gotta make sure that we're getting all the details. If you have questions, definitely pop them into chat. We'll make sure that I get them to the guys here. Let's talk a little bit more about Curious Cargo. The scaffolding is something in the game that's really interesting. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Cooper Island and the way the shims work in that. I think it's a really cool piece, and it adds a lot of strategy because you can mess yourself up so bad, so quick in Curious Cargo that you need these shims to fix your issues. Ryan, why the shim is straight from the board game gods. It's meant to fix your problems. Is that right?
Absolutely. That is what it's there for. You can, if you were to play without them, you can end up building these holes on your board that are never fixable, right? So this allows you to not feel quite as much pressure while you're building. It's already thinky enough. We didn't feel the need to punish people as much, and also Clay asked me to make this game fun, which is something I normally don't think about when I'm designing games. But we did things. We added bonuses. We added things like the scaffolding to try to keep the game fun. So yeah, fun was part of this design.
I'm curious. I'm going to stick with that train of thought real quick because you just revealed a lot about Ryan the person. You don't care about games being fun. You want it to just cook your head. You want that burn. What are a couple of your very favorite games? And you can't list your own games. That's not fair.
Well, I wouldn't even say that my own games are my favorite. So
Yeah, he doesn't
very
like
humble
his
man, Clay.
So I shouldn't do this because Capstone publishes this game, but my favorite is Arkwright.
It's a win.
I really,
It's a win
really
right
enjoy
there.
that
Do I
one.
get a ding?
If this was my show, you would get a ding, Clay. But I don't have a buzzer. Chris is sleeping probably, or oh no, he's not. He's throwing his hands up in the air at me right now. He's hard at work behind the controls.
I taught you Arkwright myself.
You did.
Ooh.
You had never played it before until I forced it on him, and now he loves it.
All right.
So going on that a little bit, Tim, there's a ding. Congratulations.
Hey.
Well done there. You know what, Chris, you get a ding too, man. That is, you got it all set up. I love it. Well done. So let's go to you, Tim. Ryan loves these big, heavy beasts. What about you? What's some of your favorite stuff? It doesn't have to be something big and heavy. Come on, be different.
I do. I mean, I obviously like the big, heavy games. Like I taught him Arkwright for crying out loud. I mean, that takes a long time just to teach it. And then you got to answer repeated questions when they screw stuff up as their first play. But my favorite games I would say, and this is a weird one because I haven't actually played it in a while. I used to be really heavy into 18XX, and not so much anymore. And weirdly, my favorite one of those is 18OE, which can take 12 hours to play. And we used to play it once every 2 weeks. That still might be what I would call my favorite game. But I also would say, I don't know, I'll play a game of Gaia Project any day because I do like that.
Yeah,
I do love that.
That's a good one for sure.
Another game getting published by Capstone.
Oh, I mean, if I'm not allowed to name,
I see what you guys are doing here. By the way, I haven't actually told you, but congratulations,
I forgot about
Clay.
that.
I know that's a huge deal. So congratulations on that. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
You want to tell everyone about that a little bit, since Tim just reminded me here?
Yeah, so we since Fuji came out with Feuerland Spiel. Feuerland is a German publisher, and they're famous for Terra Mystica, Face for Odin, Gaia Project, Fields of Arla. One of my favorite Uwe games, Glass Road, as well. Yeah, we've partnered with them because our brands are so similar, and we were awarded the Terra Mystica and Gaia Project lines after Essen. It took a little bit of time, but yeah, the beginning of this year we announced it, and we actually have it on a boat. It's coming over just in time for the holiday season. So I have the nice Capstone logo on there. I'm excited.
Outstanding news for you. I know that there's people in chat that are excited about it, but I know that Terra Mystica and Gaia Project, those are huge games in our hobby. So I know that's going to be a big deal for you.
It's a lot of work, yeah, but I'm excited. Yeah.
All right. Do we have any questions? What do you got? You got anything for me, Chris? Any questions, chat, about the design and development of Curious Cargo, of course, the new 2-player game that you can pre-order right now at capstonegames.com, or maybe about Pipeline? You have the two heads that put that beast together right here in the room. So now you can ask them how many Cheetos were ate during the 400,000 plays that they had, how much Mountain Dew was drank. What do we got here? Did you guys
never played a game of Pipeline
as you were actually developing? Oh, I'm sorry, Tim. Go right ahead.
We've never played a game of Pipeline in person. Every single play of Pipeline or Curious Cargo has been online. We played
even
at
PAX
in the same spot.
No, I'm in Minnesota. Wow. He's in New York.
Interesting.
What about
that's a challenge all on its own, right?
Well, right now it doesn't change anything.
Right.
But
you're right.
Yes, it used to be a challenge. Now it's the same as everybody else.
Listener Don Lyles, who is also a brawler, thanks for joining us. Don says, can you imagine Indonesia with Quan Chai's art? Clay, can you imagine Indonesia with Quan Chai's art? We might be onto something here. You never know.
Some psychedelic stuff there. I like it. Yeah, I want to. That's one of my all-time favorite Splotter games, and I would I would so love to do that. And we'll see. I don't know.
We have a call for Duck Dealer. Mr. Henry Seymour says, I'd love to see your version of Duck Dealer.
Yeah, I've heard about this game. I don't know much about it, but I think I've seen the cover, and I could be totally off base here, but it's like some kind of like space game or something like that. I'm not really sure. I'm just kind of guessing based on what I saw and what's in my mind. But yeah, there's a couple games that are
those games. Unless you're so entrenched in our hobby, you've never heard of them. Like Duck Dealer or Bus. Really, before you got a hold of Bus, a lot of our hobby, unless you're really hardcore, you didn't even know that was a thing.
Right. Yeah, they got a game called Cans. Yeah. Go ahead.
1830 BC. That's what you should do. That silly thing that takes place in ancient Egypt.
Yeah, that's their take on 18XX. Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah,
I would love to see that. One of my complaints is the train theme. I'm tired of the train theme. I want rocket ships and that sort of thing. So I like the idea of some of these games that kind of give that different look at the whole train theme. I think it's really, really cool. And I hope we see more of that going forward.
Ryan, do you want to mention any of the stuff you're working on at all?
What am I allowed to
Or
say?
not really. I mean, I'm just kind of, I don't want to
So
like.
Oh, I like this. Here we go again. Chat, listen up.
So I have what I call a party game, which is a stock game with buying and shorting stocks. It's probably the only game in which people.
It's a party for people who hate each other, but it's awesome.
Right. It's probably
Okay,
the only game that I've made in which people laugh or make any noise or talk at all in. So that's a different one for me. And then I have a deduction game.
We're back to
coming
the
up.
fun, and you don't usually think about that, right?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's weird. But I have to find playtesters for that because I myself can't really participate. So, yeah, then I have a deduction game as well that I'm working on. I think that one should be a pretty big hit. So those are the two main newish ones I think that will probably release next. Obviously, there's the third in the Pipeline series, and then we're going to try to do expansions for Pipeline, and if Curious Cargo goes well, we'll also try to expand that. I'm working on solo for Curious Cargo now, which is a new experience for me. I'm not a solo gamer myself, and so trying to design for that space is interesting. I've been pulling in a ton of playtesters because I'm not experienced with the solo gaming, but with the help of, I'm at like 40 or 50 playtesters in my group for that. So that's been very helpful.
It's hard for me too. Those solo games, you basically have to referee yourself, and that's hard for me. Solo gaming is not for everyone, but man, when you find one that hits, you know it. I mean, it's you become completely obsessed with it. I do have an interesting question for you, Tim. It came from chat. What was the biggest development change that you made in Curious Cargo from what was originally set up? Was there one big thing that a light just came on and you guys were like, this is going to make the game so much better? And that was from someone in chat that
I can't come up
scrolled
with
past.
anything that was me. I mean,
Okay.
It was all Ryan or Ryan and me. I wouldn't know if there was anything that I showed up and said, we got to change it to this. I said, we got to add a
Hey,
third
Chris,
color.
you better give
That's
Ryan
what I
a
said.
ding.
We got to add two more
Literally
colors.
gave
5 colors.
Tim a perfect thing. There we go. Well done, Ryan.
5 colors. That's what I'm
Mulligan
saying right
edition.
now.
Definitely bonuses.
All right, let's
Bonuses
see. What else do we
got added.
have in chat here? By the way, am getting hell for saying I'm tired of the train theme. I apologize. A bunch of train fans, apparently, in the Camp Capstone look play. He's just loving it because he knows I don't like these train games, but that's all right. That's all right. I just pretend it's something else. It's ice cream delivery or something like that. It works out just fine. Have you guys seen the new swag that these Capstone guys have? They have these beautiful hats. Josh was actually wearing one earlier today. Yeah. Clay sent me these Capstone vacuum sealed bottles. What's next, Clay? Can I get a jacket? I mean, these are outstanding. Your brand is getting so big so fast.
Oh man, I don't know about that, but yeah, I like to just have fun things that kind of that I see like, okay, I would use this while playing a game, or just just a fun little gift. So I'm glad you guys like it.
Capstone
Travis Hill
pants.
checking into chat. He's telling me that trains are fun. By the way, Travis, Travis, for anyone that doesn't know, does some rulebook work for Clay and Capstone, and the Curious Cargo rulebook is very good, actually. I understand it much more than I understood the Irish Gauge rulebook, so that was a problem for me. Again, trains, just tie me to the tracks and run me over there. Clay, is there anything that you have coming up, maybe that isn't super top secret, but that fans of Capstone can be excited about?
Coming up, we have a bunch of games coming out next year. There is something that you're going to want to see possibly tomorrow evening, but yeah, I think like Ryan mentioned, and I don't want to dive into it too much, but Ryan, when we were talking about Pipeline back in 2016 and 2017 and really kind of like narrowing down what we're going to do with this game, he would pitch me like all these different types of games. And one of them I remember is this factory game where you have, and Ryan, I'm sorry, this was like 3 years ago, so you can't hold me to this, but it had this like rondelle system of like it's like a robotic arm in a factory, and it's like doing stuff, and it has to like to perfectly line up with your conveyor system to dump the goods on there, and then it's got to do some extra stuff. And I was like, this is crazy awesome. Like, it's got a rondelle with some logistics in it, and he's got some really cool stuff that if it can happen and it can work, it's going to be extremely innovative. And I don't know, he's just mentioned it to me on the phone a couple times. So I don't want to, speak for him or any of that, but he's very creative, and I absolutely love working with Ryan. I mean, just what he brings to the table is something you've never seen before, and I appreciate that in game design. And so I will always take a look at what he has to offer, because I know it's going to be something I've never seen before. It's unique.
All right, that's a good little tease there. I like that you're that excited about something. Now I want to know more, but I'll call you later. I'll call you, Clay. I'll call you.
All right.
One more question from chat here. Mark asks if we're going to see the Wildcatters Coffee Traders, the sequel to Wildcatters Coffee Traders coming out. Now, thanks to you, I actually had a chance to meet Rolf and Andre at Spiel a couple of years back. Awesome guys. I actually got to look over their shoulders and watch Coffee Traders being played. What do you think? Any chance? I know that Wildcatters was something that you put out.
Yes, that is coming. That is our biggest project ever, and we are 95% done. So more information on that will definitely come probably next month, I would say. And okay. The strategy for bringing that to market is going to be unique, because we're looking at probably at least $100 game here. It's that big. So
listen, guys, the party can officially start, because Man versus Meeple have joined our chat. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Outstanding. The last 5 minutes, what do you got? Come on. That's probably David. What do you got here? One more question for you, Clay, from Tanya. She says you tend to release Spielworks games. We all love Uli. He does amazing stuff over there. Is Yinzi possibly on your radar?
No, I believe that was already scooped up by a new publisher. I'm not really sure what the status is of Yinzi, but I don't think I've played that one. I know I've heard wonderful things about it. So, but yeah, I think that is going to be coming to market from a different publisher. But if there's something Uli has and it clicks with what we're looking for at the time, then yeah, we'll definitely have a little phone call with Uli, and he's a fun guy to hang out with too. So
I've got a copy of Yinzi. You just got to drive to Minnesota and I'll play it with you.
There you go.
It's probably snowing there, Tim. I can't handle that. I can't do that right now.
We don't want none of that.
But after Capstone, you want everything to do, right?
Yeah, right.
Got nothing to do.
I think we should force Clay to talk about what happened when he finally played the full version of Pipeline.
Oh,
correct.
Okay. Well, I know for a
I
fact
teased it earlier, so it has to happen now.
Okay, I know for a fact Clay often, he just signs these amazing games. For example, I'm gonna tell a little story here. Last year at our bourbon night that we hosted at Origins, Watergate was the new hotness, and I was like, Clay, I'm gonna play this. I sat down and started setting it up. I was like, can you teach it? He's like, no, I can't. I know how it works, but I can't quite teach you. I'm busy, so just read the rule book. So here I sat for the next 15 minutes teaching myself how long did it take you to actually learn the rules to Watergate, Clay? Be honest.
Not that long, man. Honestly, I mean, I'll be honest. Jeremy taught me for Man versus Meeple how to play it at Origins.
Jeremy's in chat right now saying,
if he's in the chat, he'll be there.
There you go.
There you go.
We have another question in chat wondering if Coffee Traders is actually going to fit on the table. I understand that's a little bit of a potential issue.
The European size tables, probably not. No. The ones you see at Essen and Steel, no, you're going to need like 2 of them at least.
Scoot them together,
huge.
play in the middle.
The player boards are double. It's like it's like 2 pieces of paper that unfold, and you've got this giant rectangle for a player board. It's that big. So.
Outstanding. I can't wait to see it. Guys, this has been a ton of fun. Does anyone have any we got to hear this story. You're not getting out of here without this, Clay. I want to hear the story about the first time you played Pipeline with all the goodies, all the rules, with the kid gloves off.
Oh, the kid gloves were off, and I got hit with a bat. It was real bad. But there's an advanced mode with advanced pipes, and you have to pay for running your pipes in this game. There's deliveries that you can schedule. I mean, there's all kinds of these like elements that I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have deliveries. I'm going to do this and that. And I was cash strapped and just in a whirl of hurt in this death spiral of just going south. And there was no escaping it. And it ended up the game, I think it was like negative 400 or 500 points. And Ryan just obliterated me. I mean, every time I play with, I don't think I've ever beat Ryan in a game outside of Pipeline as well. But yeah, I just got it.
He wasn't holding back any punches here, huh?
You gotta play Ryan. Anybody can beat Ryan at the stock game because he pushes himself too far.
I've really enjoyed this talk, guys. Clay, why don't you give us a second? Tell us how to actually order Curious Cargo that these fine gentlemen have worked so hard on, and tell us what else we have in store for Capstone here.
Yeah, so go to our website, capstone-games.com, and that's going to have all of our products on pre-order and in stock. But when you go to the Curious Cargo page, you're going to be able to see what is included in the pre-order bonus, and you can do it right there as well. But for those of you that want to support a local game store near you, you can actually go to the game store and buy it from them instead, and you're still going to get these pre-order bonuses. We really want to make that retailer be a part of this program as well. So, and it'll be delivered to you in the beginning of October. But what we've got coming up after this show, I'm really excited for the Bourbon and Whiskey Night coming up here. About an hour now? So that's the thing I'm looking forward to for today. So
we're gonna hang out. We're gonna have some ridiculous fun. We actually have 13 or 14 giveaways set up to actually perform throughout this. So I hope that a lot of our chat actually joins us and hangs out. It's gonna be ridiculous fun. Probably the least formal thing that will happen during Camp Capstone. So if you want a good time and hang out with some content creators, I think Man vs. Meeple is gonna be there. We're gonna have a couple of the folks from Blue Peg, Pink Peg, Board Game Barrage, Rolling Dice and Taking Names may stop by. And of course, your hosts, the Brawling Brothers. We're excited to do it. Gentlemen, I really want to wrap this up and thank you both for just being absolutely amazing. There's actually 3 of you, so I'm thanking all 3 of you. By the way, Capstone was founded 5 years ago on this day, Clay?
Yeah, I didn't even realize it. We did this whole Camp Capstone thing, and I was sitting in bed last night. I was like, that's the day that the state approved the LLC. So that's for real.
Chris, our producer, he has a big smirk back there. He scooped Clay on his own anniversary. He's nodding his head. He's so happy.
It's crazy. So
very happy anniversary, man. If you've come this far in the first 5 years, I can't imagine what the next 5 are gonna bring you.
Thank you.
What were you saying? What am I talking about?
Ryan and I's, we have a Twitch stream that we're doing on Tuesday, like every other Tuesday, essentially, where we are on Twitch. We are going to be streaming our games as they are being developed. And so you'll be able to see things like eventually you'll be able to see how the Pipeline expansion works and other of Ryan and Mai's games as they are. It happens like every other Tuesday. It's under my name, so it's Twitch / it's under Tim Kaiser.
Okay, maybe we can make sure to get a link to that somewhere, Chris. I think that would be cool. A lot of people are going to be really interested in that process, so excited to hear that. I'm sure it's going to go off much more smoothly than our stream of your game earlier. So I can't wait to see what you guys do with that.
Cool.
Twitch.tv/Tim Kaiser. That's Kaiser with a Z. If you want to go over there and follow it right now, so you get a notification when they come live.
And I just
want to thank gentlemen, I think we're going to wrap it up. Does anyone have final words? We'll start with Ryan. You have anything to tell chat?
Yeah, so everybody, I guess, but I just want to thank all the people that I've gotten to work with. Tim has been immensely patient. I'm sure sometimes he probably just puts me on speakerphone and walks away and does other things while I'm running my mouth. But I mean, his patience has been more than any other person I've ever met.
Yep.
Clay has Clay has made sure that every one of these games have the absolute like top components. Like, I think people are going to be incredibly excited with the like silk screened wooden pieces. The forklifts are super cute. So he always puts out top quality components in the games, and I think the final product looks great. And I've been incredibly fortunate to work with probably two of the best artists in the entire industry to get to do that on my first two titles. Is probably made Pipeline. I mean, literally, I wanted O'Toole's name just as big as mine on the box because he actually had a name. I don't, So we wanted to put at least one famous person on the box so we could sell the dang thing. So, to get him and then to get Quan Chai after that, I mean, I don't know where to even go next. I mean,
I'm not sure that you can go up from there, right? You literally started at the top of board game artists.
Best of the best. Mm-hmm. So
I'll say, all right, Tim, what do you got? You already plugged your stream. What do you have here for people as a parting shot?
As a parting shot, I just couldn't be happier to have met Ryan, to now know Ryan, and to be part of this whole engine, and have made. I actually consider Ryan a good friend now. So good that I can call him horrible names and he doesn't get mad at me. And he calls me horrible names and I don't get overly mad at him. I mean, he's a jerk. But yeah, I'm real happy.
You guys are clearly a hell of a team.
I mean, I'm happy to play. I've gotten such a different thing out of this over the last few years. I used to just be a guy who played games. Now I make games. So it's amazing.
Well, look for Tim's new game too. That's coming soon. So we'll drop a little tease there.
Tease us. Tell us what the title is.
It hasn't got an official title yet. We don't know yet. Should come out next year.
All right.
Well, your previous talk where you wanted train games but without train themes made me go, well, I got a game for you.
Okay. Well, we're going to be talking. I can't wait. Clay, finish it up. I'm going to send us out of here, baby.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you all. This has been an awesome opportunity to talk with everybody together. And Brandon, you're an awesome host. Thank you so much. Really miss hanging out with you and can't wait for next year to hopefully hang out in person a lot more than this year. So,
oh man, I hope. We were talking on the phone. We need convention season back because that's what I meant to do. I meant to go to board game convention. So hopefully next year. I hope that you all join us tonight for the Brawling Brothers Bourbon Night, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can find it the exact same place you found all these other great streams. If you're not in the Capstone. Let me start that again. If you're not in the Capstone Discord, you should definitely hook up there. It's a great place to find partners to play the games, ask rule questions, keep in touch with Chris and Clay and the rest of the Capstones. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to do some tongue twisters to exercise the rest of the Capstone staff. Thank you very much. And we hope that you guys enjoy Curious Cargo.
All right.
Thanks for having us.